we do 10 things at this one time podcast thingy on the YouTube channel. 17 different names for the show. And I'm going to keep trying to go with it as long as possible. I'm your host, as always, Chad Porter. Joining me is the glorious one, Marcus Green. Marcus, it's the Friday show. It's almost like it's still Sunday. But now it's Friday? What? Slammiversary is one day away. You can hear our Slammiversary preview podcast. That's up on the website and on Podbean and Spotify and iTunes. That's the links down below. And you also hear me and Zach covering the last edition of Impact on Making an Impact for this week. You can find that on the website as well, RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. So if you want to listen to me and Marcus talk about Slammiversary previews or me and Zach talk about Impact, you can do that on the website, RealNerdCorp.com. Marcus, was this a hard list for you? Because we were doing top 10 worst Slammiversary matches. We've done a top 10 best Slammiversary matches. That's last week's show, though.
Yeah, go check that out. This was just a little bit more tedious because, like we talked about, and it wasn't too hard to find some of the best Slam matches because there are some great like main events and stuff like that. But some of the best matches in the company never even happened on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to this, I guess the bonus is some of the worst matches did actually, that we've ever seen in the company that didn't necessarily take place on the show, but there was some stinkers. So just a little tad bit more tedious, but not the painstaking by any means.
Well, Marcus, let's get started with your first pick of the evening. Number 10 goes to what?
On Slammiversary 2007, friggin' Voodoo Kin Mafia versus Basham, which I'm guessing that was one of the Basham twins.
Both
maybe?
of the Basham twins. Doug and Danny Basham were Basham and Damajo, respectively. They weren't actually twins, though. They were just white boys with round faces.
Yes.
This was during Vince McMahon's "they're not brothers, but they're brothers" era.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was trash.
Hard trash. This was unrecyclable.
Just unrecyclable, hot, froggy garbage.
Froggy garbage.
Yeah, how long did that name of Voodoo Kin Mafia even last?
Until they broke up in 2008.
Well, give it a little time, I guess. But again, so I didn't ever see those quote unquote twins heavy quotations with that. So yeah, that was it was literally probably the definition of unnecessary. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, it's not good at all. And I don't blame you. And it's so bad it was hard for me to even find a photo from this era. Mine is actually going to be another James Gang Voodoo Kin Mafia 3 Live Crew match. It's AMW versus James Gang from 2005. Not James Gang. 3LK. Ron Killings, Conan, and BG James, a.k.a. Road Dogg, were part of a trio in 2004, 2005. And it was actually a mildly entertaining trio, especially for Ron Killings. He ended up winning his second NWA World title run, a title win, I should say, with that group. But this was like a 5-6 minute clunker. For whatever reason, they took AMW out of the title scene to put the Naturals in against, I think it was Team Canada. So this was pretty much their, hey, you guys can have BG James, and I think it was Conan. And nobody cared. It was 5 minutes, and I remember this being one of the least best matches of the first 2 Slammiversaries, and I was just so disappointed. It's just not very good at all. And I like both groups, mostly, kind of. By the by, did you know that BG James voted for Barack Obama despite the fact he's a hardcore Republican? I always found that fascinating. Marcus, any thoughts on this one? Do you even remember this one? Because I don't blame you if you don't.
No, I don't. But that BG James thing that was an enlightening moment for me because that was on the. Guess who's a phenomenal dum dum.
AJ Styles believed that they were doing abortions in closets. He's not a smart man. Oh,
Doesn't
he's
matter.
stupid. He's oh my god. Like it's like saying, AJ Styles, would you like to join the Mensa community? Mensa community. He thinks it's another term for gay people. Just don't even ask him. And I don't even know why you're asking him in the first place. He clearly isn't intelligent enough to join Mensa. So like, shame on you. So yeah,
Oh, man.
not great. Marcus, what's your number 4, number 8 overall?
For me, and this is another match I don't remember, and it's probably because it was absolutely forgettable, like my last pick. But 2007, Bob Backlund versus Alex Shelley.
So, respect to Bob Backlund, he did his best. Respect to Alex Shelley, he did his best. I think this is a very great novelty match, but considering this is arguably the weakest Slammiversary of all time, outside of maybe 2008 and 2015, I would agree with you. This match probably should have been saved for a different show.
Yeah.
Although they did give us a banger. I think it was Sabin and Shelley versus Backlund and Jerry Lynn at Victory Road 2007.
Well, it's good to know they definitely made up for it.
Right? The worst part about this match was Bob Backlund was doing such great comedy work. Oh well. What are you gonna do? My next one, Marcus, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No.
My next one is actually going to be, I think it was from 2009. It was Tara versus Angelina Love, and it wasn't very good. It's one of those matches that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The beautiful people are, get involved throughout the match, and Tara had just debuted. I don't know what they were going for, and I think Madison Rain was still there as like a lackey because this was before Angelina Love had her visa issues. But the match wasn't very long, and while Angelina Love wasn't the best worker, she was technically the best worker of the beautiful people. So you would kind of hope that the match would go a little bit longer than like 5-6 minutes, but that's where we're at. Granted, it was better than the Awesome Kong challenge from 2008, which nearly made this list, but I think ultimately the disappointing Love Tara match at Slammiversary 2009 has to make the list. And truthfully, that show had some good matches, like Abyss and Taylor Wilde versus Daphne and Raven. Daniels and Shane Douglas surprisingly had a really good match, despite the fact Douglas was well into his 40s at this point, and very much not the same hard body that he used to be. Sting versus Matt Morgan was pretty solid, and I very much like the Beer Money Team 3D tag team title match. So it's a solid
Yeah.
show overall, but definitely this one was not the end all be all of women's wrestling for the era.
Agree. And it's funny you mentioned Tara. It felt like, as much as I like Tara, it always felt like an Impact. Either she was um, returning or re-debuting.
Random ass bicycle chick with a
Yeah,
helmet.
always putting up on the damn. Who's behind the mask? No, it's always Tara.
It's always Tara. Dude, 7'5" black dude comes out with a little mask on. He takes it off. It's Tara. Wait, what? How is that even possible? That's some Scooby Doo shit.
She was always like felt like Madison Rain's mystery partner. That always kept pulling up on that damn black bike with that helmet. I feel like she did that 4 or 5 times. It's like I don't get it. I really don't get it. But whatever. Um, okay.
Next one up.
Guess my next one up is a match 2013 that went 32 seconds. You kind of understand why one of the participants, but again, it's a pay-per-view with a match that went 32 damn seconds. Talking Dvon versus one Joseph Parkia.
Parkian. Parkeskian? Joseph P. Tedeschian. You're not wrong on this because technically this match never even technically happened. Wasn't this the night where Abyss came back instead and won the title?
It was the next match.
Oh my god, that's hardcore garbage right there. That's turtle stew nonsense. And I don't mean STEW like you eat. I mean the turtle named Stew was hardcore garbage. This was terrible.
but
This was I'm pretty sure this match never even took place. Like I think the count out took 32 seconds. Like that's it. Like that's how bad this match was. Marcus, yeah, technically that's a terrible match. Not as terrible as 2010. So somewhere, somehow, some way, some why, someone decided that Jesse Neal should be his thing. And I'm so confused as to why. Yes, he is an American soldier. He done served his country, and respect to that. And a lot of people don't have that balls. And they're doing something interesting with him and Shannon Moore, but he was also like fresh off of his like indie debuts. I think he'd been around for like a whole 14 months at this point. So I'm not really sure why they decided to go this route, but I mean, what are you going to do? When talking about guys who should come back, Taylor Wilde is making a lot of play in the media to hype up her return. Who knows where she's going to go, what she's going to do, but I'm excited for it because Taylor Wilde was easily, in my opinion, besides Gail Kim, the best worker in the Knockouts division during their early days. But if Jesse Neal's like, yeah, I'm gonna train for a return, I'm gonna be like, pass. Sorry, kid, we're good. Marcus, your next one.
it's funny because didn't they do that same thing with Chris Melendez or something similar to it?
Yep, and Chris Melendez actually was a little bit better of a worker, and he was lacking an entire limb. Although, truth be told, if they wanted to do a military stable with Jesse Neal, Crimson, and Jesse Melendez, or Gilbert Melendez. What was his name? Chris Melendez.
Chris Melendez.
There it is. I would actually be all right with that. I think that would be a slick stable. I would also advocate for Gunner to come in, but no thank you. We're good. We're good, Phil Shatter. That was his name before he joined TNA. Phil Shatter. Like, Shatter's not a bad last name, but you named yourself Phil. What?
Oh my God! That takes me right back to that great part from another one of our favorite shows that I didn't know was another one of our collective favorite shows, Nip Tuck. When I think it was Sean went out on this date with this woman who apparently had irritable bowel syndrome or just the runs, and they got in a jacuzzi and something happened and she she released a bowel. And then he got on the phone with Christian next day, and I guess he took out on the date after the fact, and the name of the place was called Shutters. And freaking Christian goes, "You took the shit or the Shutters?" Well, you said shatter.
The way your brain works horrifies me sometimes.
That's hilarious to me. But yeah, shout out to Taylor Wilde. She is one of those names that's kind of honestly easy to get lost in translation a lot of times because I think it gets overshadowed by just the whole beautiful people thing, and then obviously Kong and Kim and other names that came through. But she was definitely one of the, like you said, one of the better workers. Speaking of, I guess getting into two women in this next match again. This is not necessarily in any particular order, but this does come in at number second to last for me. 2017, this 3-on-3 mixed tag, Ali, her husband, what it was, something Sutter.
Braxton Sutter, Ali's real life husband.
Braxton Sutter, who looks horrendous now in AEW, just not necessarily, he just looks weird. Butcher and the Blade, that whole deal.
The Butcher, the Blade, the Blade, the Butcher.
Ali Braxton Sutter, Mahabali Shira, and not the Shira we got reintroduced to in the last couple years. The freaking shoulder shimmying Shira.
Yes. Clapping for the alliteration.
Thanks. versus KM, Congo Kong, and Laurel Van Ness.
I would rather have had Ali versus KM. KM was a great bully character. Laurel Van Ness has no athleticism to her name whatsoever, and I find her to be insufferable as a character. Congo Kong's just big. Braxton Sutter's just a hard body, and poor Mahabali. He's finally the lion of like whatever it is. I forget, but like we haven't seen him because I guess travel restrictions. I don't know. Like we haven't seen him since like January, I think.
Yeah, I have finally gotten used to seeing him get aggressive.
Get
But
aggressive. Get aggressive. No.
It felt good because I mean somebody that wide and that big, you know, he actually acting the part of what he looked. But yeah, that was just anything with Laurel Van, and it's funny because KM would eventually meld with a guy that kind of reminded you of Congo, but was clearly nicer in Falaba.
Yep.
So he found his thick mate in that regard.
His thick mate.
But yeah, Ali Sutter, they never worked. I mean, she took off more than he ever did in the company. So yeah, that was just clearly a slot filler.
Yeah, it's not good. For me, I'm gonna go with the worst fucking match I can think of the post-mod or the modern post-mod. It's Crimson versus Joe. It was bad. It's so bad.
Yes.
And like it was like, yeah, Crimson's on a 9-month undefeated streak, just like Joe, and everyone's like, no one cares. And then like he beat Joe, and I'm still sitting there going, no one cares. And then like you finally had him to the point where whoever beat him might get a rub. And then they ended up having James Storm end the undefeated streak, and I'm just like, that was dumb. So
Like you thought this was going somewhere. Sorry.
I really can't wait to see how this ends. Sorry about your damn luck. Oh man. It wasn't good. And Joe at this point was very much lazy in the ring. He was Lazy Joe. My favorite recliner company. And Crimson was never a very dynamic wrestler, and his gear just kind of made him look like indie. He was indie chic. So it was just yeah. It's bad. Ugh. It wasn't a great show. It was a good show, but it wasn't a great show, and this was one of the reasons why it wasn't a great show. This was also the night where Mr. Anderson won the belt back after the miscount by Eric Bischoff, where he came in and slapped the ring, and everyone's like, "Why would he do that?" That was this show. Marcus, your final one.
Yeah, it's we ended at the top of the mountain. I'm going 2006. King of the Mountain. Now, I'm gonna preface this with saying this match this was actually a decent match. All you know, it had Sting, Christian Cage, Jarrett, a couple other guys, but this King of the Mountain particularly got basically renamed the Orlando Screwjob. And something that I specifically hated with this particular legend, TNA Hall of Famer known as Earl Hebner, like after the whole Montreal thing, I'm guessing it got in some people's head, or maybe his own, that he had to just be more important than just a vintage referee. And the fact that and the company did multiple unnecessary ass screw jobs. But this one, this was ridiculous. And this is also a match that features, of course, we know the rules of King of the Mountain. But this is a match that features Sting getting himself eligible by basically force counting Earl Hebner to count 3. That was one. Abyss knocked Earl the hell out with a ladder just cause. And again, this was one of those times where like this had to be like, Earl screwed you or damn you Earl. It had to be. This all came down to a damn you Earl moment when he pushed over, well, I think that was Cage and Sting, so Jarrett could obviously put the title on the hook and win the match. It's just this was just another thing in a long list of F finishes that was completely unnecessary for a main event match that Impact would, I mean TNA at the time would go with, just because they wanted the shock value. You didn't need the shock value. It was a perfectly fine match. Um, which, let's be honest, it's enough hijinks that can go on in a damn King of the Mountain match with just the rules themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need any extra thing. But again, the company just had this obsession with F finishes.
The worst part was they resolved they're like, why did Earl Hebner do it? And the answer was Jeff Jarrett's champion. I'm just like, that's not an explanation.
Like, I did it for the Jarrett.
I did it for the planet Jarrett. I did it for Team Canada. This is literally, Marcus, this is the second screw job that Jarrett was involved with in the span of 8 months. Yup. Because AMW screwed Raven out of the NWA World title in September of 2005 at a Canadian house show for TNA and Border Championship Wrestling. Jeff Jarrett, king of the screw jobs. I'm not surprised. Final one of the night. Kind of the similar idea. This wasn't technically a bad match, but also wasn't really at all. Well, it was just, this was dumb. Slammiversary 2015, Bobby Lashley and Mr. Anderson, if I remember correctly, versus EC3 and Tyrus. I don't know why someone said, hey, you know what we should do? Not shoot the TV taping on Friday and do the pay-per-view on Sunday. What we should do is build to the pay-per-view where Kurt Angle faces EC3 in the main event and not just put EC3 in a random-ass tag team match against Lashley and Mr. Anderson. I didn't understand this. Mostly because the TNA World Championship wasn't even on the show. Kurt Angle was not on the show. Kurt Angle was the world champion and did nothing. And the main event was Jeff Jarrett for the King of the Mountain title against Bobby Roode, Matt Hardy, Eric Young, and Drew Galloway. While EC3, the next crowning achievement in TNA, was left to win a random-ass tag team match in 10 minutes. While the very next, what night were we on at this point? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I don't even remember. The very next Friday, EC3 fucking rolls up Angle to win the belt, which actually transpired the Friday prior. So technically, as this show was airing live, Marcus, EC3 had already technically won the TNA World title. Oh, that's so stupid.
It's so many different instances where that was happening too. That was so, oh God, that was the plot holes this company put themselves in. Ridiculous.
It's not good. And like it's one of those things where you realize like you could have had so much going on with this idea of EC3 and Angle, and like you could have literally just not had EC3 in the ring for like 2 weeks if you wanted, or 3 weeks, or whatever it was, and you could have done all the vignettes and backstage. Like you could have done like an entire month of EC3 on a celebratory cruise, or like hanging out with women at a pool after he wins the title at Slammiversary. So that way you're working backwards, so you don't spoil the title win. But no one was smart enough to figure this out. But yet we still got like an entire segment of like, who was it? It was that one Brazilian chick, or Mike and Maria were at a pool for like a month for a time. Like they did it eventually. But for whatever reason, they didn't think about doing it with this one. And I'm just like, this was when creative was at an all-time low for the company. And it showed. Although, I will say this. They did have Austin Aries and Davey Richards on this match, on this card in a match. And you also still had... that was it. That and the main event was pretty much it. This was a two-show pony. hate to break it, but it is. All right, Marcus. I have 2 more for next week. Top 10 worst decisions by the Hogan era and top 10 best moments, not matches, moments from TNA and Impact. That headbutt from Joe made me think, Or headbutt to Joe, I should say. Made me go, that's the one. So we'll start making up lists for that. Marcus, of course, you'll provide the third idea. Let me know when that's in, and we'll start compiling lists. Any final thoughts on this week's on this Friday's edition, Marcus?
No, this was a fun, tenuous trip down memory lane. We have been some very loyal people to this company.
I feel like we're exes, like not exes. I feel like we're spouses in a relationship where our significant others just keep taking advantage of our generosity. Like they're in debt like $100,000, but they're still insistent on having a joint bank account and doing our taxes together. And we just keep going, okay. We need to stop, Marcus. We're better than this. We are strong, independent black women, and we can handle this.
It was like, they're like, well, what about the sex? And like, it hasn't been about that for years.
What sex? Wait, you're still having what? I thought she said we were supposed to stop after the honeymoon. Oh, that would suck. So next week we got what we got. We will be back on the air. If you want to listen to us record live as we do these, you can do so every Sunday. 9 o'clock. We're going to do it 9 o'clock. So I'm going to remember this, Marcus. 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Gotcha.
Or we can go at 8, my time, 7 your time. I don't know. You tell me. But, yeah. So twitch.tv/WrestlingUnderground. YouTube, you're already on it, so it's just like and subscribe. Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Links down below. Website's RealNerdCorp.com. Twitter's NerdCorp. Instagram's RealNerdCorp. Marcus can be found on Twitter at ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
That's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, on Twitter at True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. And you can find me on Twitter at Chad NerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, ChadSPHOTOHUT. Whew! For Mark Screen, I'm Chad Porto. Thanks for joining us for this ride. Enjoy Slammiversary, and we'll be on. Actually, Sunday, we're going to be reviewing Slammiversary. Or no, do you want to do that Saturday night? How do you want to do this? Stay tuned to Twitter. We'll figure out. Marcus, say goodnight.
Yeah. Good night.